Hello everyone, this is These Memories Do Not Belong to Us by Yiming Ma. I just found this random on the bookshelf and said, all right, that sounds like a good one, especially since it's so short. So we have a series of interconnected stories here. Most of these, the whole book barely qualifies as science fiction. It's almost more near future. This is a fellow who, everyone gets a mind bank, and for all intents and purposes you might as well call it putting a phone in your head. It's going to recall all your memories for you, so you have perfect memory. And you can well, I guess make calls, because you can call up family members and have a discussion, cut off the call, and you can trade these memories, you can hand them out. This all happens underneath a authoritarian regime called the Qin, which sounds like it is the Qin Empire, which sounds like it's supposed to be China, because they, and however, you don't get a too big a description of it, but there is a war of some kind, and they wind up as the winners, and so they are putting their fingers and authority out into the world, and that comes including using people's mind banks to control them, censors. And so what this fellow does, what happens is his mother has passed away, and she leaves him her memories. And he decides to go through these, and in what is basically a sort of bleak sounding surrender, I'm going to upload these so all of you can see these memories, and at some point the powers that be, the censors, are going to come for me, and they're going to come from these memories. So I'm just trying to get them out there before that happens. In reading, well, let's see, the stories are, for example, you have a swimmer. He had to have his arms removed as a young child, but with just the use of his legs, he can take care of himself and eat, and he becomes the most awesome swimmer ever. And he goes to these games to compete, and what his life is like afterwards. You have a sumo who is sent to be a sumo by his parents, and she goes to see him. He's happy to see her. During his training, which he's not very happy with, he tries to leave, but he doesn't, and this trainer beats up this other one, whips him to death right there in front of him. Another is it's the son of one of the party leaders, and he is in love with this woman in America and wants to bring her with him. They were childhood friends, and they grew up, and he fell in love with her. And he has a sequel, but he's not the viewpoint character in it, where he is an old man, and he goes on about his regret over bringing her along and how they separated, and the loss of love in his life. But the viewpoint character, in her words, learns about love through him this way. They don't get together, it's just love in general via his previous relationship. These, when you read them, you wonder, what's the deal that you should be so worried about censors coming for these? Because there's only one where there's someone who actually goes out and protests, but it's this woman who does this, and she's not the viewpoint, it's her boyfriend who is. And he lets her, he argues with her, and she goes out and she does these protests, and she's taken away. And what do you do when there's people who spend their lifetimes trying to get their loved ones out of prisons from when they've been arrested in foreign affairs. And so the problem is, of course, authoritarianism. And so a great real world example that occurred to me was when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson did a Super Bowl show, and he removed a piece of her clothing, and as one comedian put it, she showed her evil brown titty to the world, and the religious leaders and the far right in this country threw a fit, and actually at one point drafted up a series of laws. And the best example, the one that I heard about the most, was this one piece where if you committed blasphemy over public radio, you could be fined $500,000. And so literally, if there's a radio show host, here's a story and exclaims, so much as exclaims, "Oh my God, I can't believe that," that's a $500,000 fine, because how dare you? This, of course, didn't happen, thankfully. Donald Trump has tried to sue people just for making fun of them and insulting them, and he's lost every single one of those cases because we are not in a dictatorship just yet. Knock on wood if I had it. And so this becomes then when you realize these things, then you see it, because these are not huge dissident stories. In one, these kids find a book of poetry, this old book of poetry, and the problem with this book of poetry is that it doesn't mention the state, and it doesn't praise the state. Your whole world is supposed to be the state, and so when you're doing anything that sounds like it would be even remotely rebellious, up to and including "you're not praising us all the time," now you're going to prison, you could be executed, what have you. Probably the scariest thing in this one, the one that would terrify me the most, is this fellow. He wakes up and he finds that he is in a small room, doesn't appear to have a way out, and he's been put into a robotic body. In other words, his mind bank has now been downloaded in his robotic body, and he wonders, first off, am I the original me, or am I just some kind of copy? And then this avatar, I assume virtual reality in his head, but it sounded like maybe projected into the room, it shows up as an angel and starts to question him. "I'm your friend. What's this about? What's that about?" And tries to go through his memories, trying to get what's within them to see if there's any problems with them, i.e. this is probably a sensor trying to analyze them as he tries to resist and hide some of the memories. It's not, I won't exactly call this some amazing, groundbreaking, dystopian cyberpunk, but it was a pretty interesting read, and I actually really enjoyed it. And a lot of the it's actually really, for a series of short stories, it's pretty character driven. I actually liked the individual characters in them and the emotional beats that they have throughout. So a pretty good find, just wandering through the bookstore right there, and not bad at all. I don't know about top 10, but pretty good read. I liked it. Next week we have, this says something about 40th anniversary edition, so I'm guessing this is some older book, and I'm just finding it now. Ecotopia by Ernest Kallenbach. 1 million copies sold. 20 years have passed since Northern California, Oregon, and Washington seceded from the United States to create a new nation, Ecotopia. Rumors abound of barbaric war games, tree worship, revolutionary politics, sexual extravagance. Now this mysterious country admits its first American visitor, investigative reporter Will Weston, whose dispatches alternate between shock and admiration. But Ecotopia gradually unravels everything Weston knows to be true about government and human nature itself, forcing him to choose between two compelling views of civilization. Since it was first published in 1975, thank you, Ecotopia has inspired readers throughout the world with its vision of an ecologically and socially sustainable future. This 40th anniversary edition includes Ernest Kallenbach's final essay, The Epistle to the Ecotopians, and a new foreword by Kallenbach's close friend and publisher, Malcolm Margolin. Never heard of that guy. So we'll get a little bit of a sci-fi classic, I guess. The 70s, when you had things like the first real widespread designs of getting into space with orbital space colonies and things. So some ecologically minded people, even then, and designs that never came to fruition. But I don't know. I think with indoor vertical farming, we're kind of working on it, but still has a long way to go. Anyway, nice quick read there, little dystopia for you, and this is next week. That is all. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Hope you had a good 4th. Bye bye.